Hello and welcome back to the channel. We are still on chemical texturing, and today we're going to talk about selecting the right type of perms. Let's get started. Perm selection. Choosing the appropriate perm type for each client is critical. Every client has unique hair texture, condition, and needs that must be taken into account. After a thorough consultation, you should determine which perm best suits the client's hair type, condition, and desired outcome. So, when we're doing a perm, we should always make sure we do a consultation, even if it's just a short consultation with the client that you've had before. We should always do a consultation because things change. Okay, you don't know what the client may have done at home, so you need to know these things. You need to know what's on the hair. Okay, what type of chemical have they been using? Have they used color? What type of color? Is it a progressive color, something out of a drugstore, or is it a professional color? What is the texture of the hair? Is it medium, fine, or coarse? You need to know these things because this is going to help you decide which type of perm to use on this client. Colors and perms. Perms designed for color-treated hair may not be safe for damaged or bleached hair. Additionally, hair treated with a semi-permanent color, which coats the hair shaft, is less porous than permanent color treated hair and may seem more resistant. So, colors is something that we have to be very careful about when we're doing perms, because if we get a client that has been doing her own hair at home, coloring her own hair at home, we could run into problems with the perm. There could be discolorations. That you can sometimes you can even get smoke from the perm. Mixing that perm and that progressive color together. So we definitely want to do a consultation and find out what's on that client's hair. So that we'll know the right perm to use. Colors and perms. There are important differences to consider between color-treated hair and damaged bleached hair when selecting an appropriate perm formula. Perms made specifically for color-treated hair take into account that permanent hair color opens up and swells the hair cuticle layer to deposit color in the cortex. This makes color-treated hair more porous and receptive to perm solution. So what is going on here is bleaching damages important disulfide bonds in the hair keratin. Holes and gaps form in that protective layer of the cuticle, which causes hair fragility, and the risk for breakage goes up a lot. So you have to do these consultations so that you'll know what's on the hair. Special care is needed when chemically treated hair is already damaged. Okay, so we want to make sure at all times that we protect the integrity of the hair. All right, so when you get someone and they're getting a perm or any type of chemical, you always want to take the time to do a quick consultation. Even if they've been coming to you for a while and they decide that they want to do a perm, you got to do that consultation because now you need to know and understand that hair that you're going to be working with. Colors and perms. Additionally, semi-permanent hair color just coats the outside of the hair with tiny color molecules rather than lifting cuticles to color inside the strands. So semi-color treated hair still has relatively intact cuticle layers and normal porosity. The coating from semi-permanent colors may actually partially block perm solution, making this hair seem a bit more resistant. So again, you need to know what's on that hair. Do this person use semi-color a lot? Is it a repeated thing? Do they use, how long have they been using? Because every time you coat that hair, even though semi-color fades off over time, you still have residue there. on the cuticle if they're doing it over and over and over and over. So that can block that perm solution from entering in, okay, from the perm from entering into the cuticle to enter the cortex. So we definitely have to keep these consultations in the forefront of our mind when we're working on clients. That must be the first thing that you do, because you need to know what's on this hair and how is this hair going to react because that's on there. Okay, so you always want to do like a little test curl or something to get an idea of how that's going to react. We have to have careful consideration of clients' hair and the properties and goals, so that the stylist can pick the right perm to use on a client, because you can run into so many issues if you just go and you pick a perm and it's not the right perm. Okay, so we always want to keep the integrity of the hair. Always. We always want to keep that integrity of the hair. Perm strengths. Low pH perms. Contour to natural hair shape with soft natural appearance. Utilize a low pH formula safely suitable for fragile color treated hair. Mild perms, gentler on fine, fragile, or chemically treated hair, lower pH formulas, less harsh on hair bonds. Firm perms provide tighter, long-lasting curls ideal for resistant, coarse, thick hair types. So here are three types of perms, right? And so there are perms where we can, when we do our consultation, that we can pick from. Okay, well, this person has damaged hair, so you don't want to use a firm perm on that person, something with a high pH that's going to cause more damage. So you want to be able to pick the right type of perm for the right client. So we have great options for the first time client, uncertain of how tight that she wants her curl, whether she wants a curl or a wave. So, you can try a low pH perm to give her an idea of what this is going to look like. And she can achieve anything from like a defined ringlet to a nice wave. Okay. Mild perms create looser waves best suited for short styles. There's a reduced risk of damage to delicate hair. And then firm perms use a higher pH formula, which produces maximum restructuring in the cortex and offer a greater curl control. So you can get a nice firmer curl with a firm perm, right? But I would not use a low pH wave on a client that has resistant or coarse type hair or thick hair. So you have to know what type of perm to use on what type of client. The perm process. The bleaching process destroys the sulfide bonds in the hair protein structure. This leads to holes and missing pieces in the protective outer cuticle layer. This causes the hair structural integrity to become severely compromised. The perm process. Perm solution strength depends on reducing agent concentration. More reducing ions equal more disulfide bonds broken. Coarse hair needs more bonds broken to reshape and hold curls. Mild solution may not have enough reducing power for coarse hair. Even with longer processing, mild formulas won't break enough bonds needed to match proper strength solutions to each hair type. So the strength of any permanent wave is based on the concentration of its reducing agent. All right, so remember we talked about reducing agents in the video prior to this. So the amount of processing is determined by the strength of the permanent wave solution. So if you have a high pH, meaning alkaline wave, you're going to break a lot more disulfide bonds. Okay, so if you have less, like a true acid wave, you're going to break less disulfide bonds. The perm process. Mild perm solution can be ideal for fine hair. Fewer bonds to break in fine hair, so it does not need a strong solution. Strong solution releases more ions to break more disulfide bonds. Strong solutions perfect for coarse hair but damaging for fine hair. Solution strength, not processing time, determines amount of bonds reshaped. So let's think about the true acid wave. True acid wave is a very mild perm. It gives you a very soft curl, not a strong curl, a soft curl, and it gives you a soft wave pattern. So that means that it did not break a lot of the disulfide bonds, very few, right? But if we go to an alkaline perm, which is higher in pH, this perm breaks more disulfide bonds because it's stronger. The solution is stronger. It breaks more disulfide bonds and it gives you a very strong curl, a nice firmer curl. The perm process. Majority of bonds breakings happens in the first 5 to 10 minutes. Additional processing time allows new curl shape to set. Over processing most likely occur if too strong solution used. The solution strength should match the hair type to avoid damage. So this is what we were talking about. This is why consultations are very, very important. Okay, you have to understand what type of perm you're putting on a client. If the client has a very fine hair, if our hair is very fine, it's thin, you don't want to go in and use an alkaline perm, a firm perm. You don't want to use that because now you can cause a lot of damage to the hair because her hair is fine. So you could cause damage by using something too strong. Now, the bonds begin to break in the first 5 to 10 minutes. So those bonds begin to break. But the additional processing time gives that hair time to restructure. So if they have straight hair, now they're going to have curly hair. It's going to restructure the hair into the shape of that rod. The perm process. Bleached, damaged hair needs gentlest perm. Semi-perm color can cause hair to resist perm. Solution strength must match hair density and texture. More application needed if solution can't penetrate dense hair. Proper saturation, vital for perms to process fully. So if we have a client that has bleached hair or damaged hair, we definitely want to use a gentle perm. Because if we use a high pH perm, we're going to cause more damage. And remember that semi-permanent colors can cause the hair to be resistant to a perm. Because remember, the semi-permanent will have a molecule that will cause the perm solution not to penetrate. And then solution strength must match hair density and texture. So again, consultation. You got to know what that texture is before you begin to work. And more application is needed if solution can't penetrate dense hair. So, and that's where if the hair is coarse, if the hair is thick, we definitely want to go with an alkaline perm. And we definitely want to properly saturate the hair because if we do not, then we're going to be missing bonds. We're not going to we won't be able to penetrate all the bonds because we won't have a full saturation. You know, we may break some bonds here and then some bonds, less bonds there. So we want to be very even and consistent with our saturation of our solution. Over-processed hair. Thoroughly saturating hair with a strong perm solution will break more disulfide bonds and achieve greater processing. However, more processing does not necessarily create tighter curls. The goal of a properly done perm is to break and reform around 50% of the hairs to sulfite bonds. If too many bonds are disrupted, it can lead to extreme dryness, damage, and hair loss over time. So, with overprocessed hair, if you have a client who has fine hair and you use a strong perm, you're definitely going to overprocess using an alkaline on someone with very fine, thin hair. Okay, so you definitely do not want to overprocess your client. All right, because you will cause damage. There will be breakage, there will be damage, there will be hair loss, and any of those things is going to cause a problem. Underprocessed hair. Underprocessing occurs when too few disulfide bonds in the hair are broken down. With inadequate bond shaping, the hair lacks sufficient pliability to accept and retain the curled perm shape. Telltale signs of underprocessed hair are limp, elongated tendrils of curl rather than defined ringlets or waves. The strongest area of hair growth at the scalp may appear nearly straight, while the ends exhibit some curl where hair is most porous. This uneven curl pattern signals bonds were not broken uniformly from root to tip. So one of the problems here is that the hair probably was not saturated well. And that's what we talked about prior to this, that you must saturate the hair um, correctly. You must make sure that you process at the time that it should be processed at, and that you're checking the processing time. Okay, because if you don't, what's going to happen is if you don't saturate it consistently throughout the client's head, you're not going to be able to break down all these bonds. Remember, we're aiming to break down at least 50%. So you need to break down all those bonds that you are aiming to break. Now, under processed hair, you could reapply the solution before adding that neutralizer. You can go back and reapply that solution, wait your time, make sure that you're checking it before you neutralize it. Okay? Neutralization. The neutralization stage in perming halts waving solution activity and solidifies new curls. It carries out two main functions. The first function, it neutralizes leftover waving solution. Any reducing agents still penetrating the hair shaft are stabilized to stop further actions on disulfide bonds. Second stage, it reforms broken bonds into curled position. The oxidizing neutralizers rebuild hair into its reshaped state by bridging the sulfur linkage broken by the previous chemical processes. So the first thing we're doing is we're stopping the action. It stops the action of the solution, stops that solution from penetrating the hair shaft anymore. So it stops that. The second job of it is to reform, to harden those curls, that shape into the new curl. Okay, harden that hair into the new shape, which is that perm rod. So the hair is rolled around that perm rod, so now it is locking that shape into place. Neutralization. Despite being called neutralizers, these solutions work through oxidation reaction. Not true neutralization chemistry. Hydrogen peroxide is the most common, used at concentrations between 1.5 and 3% to initiate the sulfide reformation. This seals the new curl arrangement on a structural level via reoxidation of protein chains. So when it says neutralization, I've heard many teachers say, "Oh, it brings the hair back down to its normal pH." That is not true. That is not what these neutralizers do. What the neutralizer do is that hydrogen peroxide chemically interacts with the hair's protein to create new bonds to set and stabilize that new curl, right? So it doesn't bring the hair back down to its normal pH. That is not what it does. It does not do that because remember, the solution is on a higher pH scale. So neutralizer would not just bring that back down. So what happens here is that we have like a full natural pH restoration would take up to maybe about 2 weeks. It could take up to like 2 weeks, right? And this is without any added acidifiers or anything like that. So once the hair is neutralized, right? Now that neutralizer, the purpose of the neutralizer is to harden that shape into harden that hair into the new shape, that new form, which is around that roller. That is what the neutralizer is going to do. It is not going to bring the hair down to its natural pH of 4.5 to 5.5. That is not what the neutralizer does. Okay, so it will take up to like 2 weeks for the hair to gradually come back down to its normal pH. There's things you could do, like washing, shampooing, and conditioning after a certain time. You can kind of help bring it down, but it does not, neutralizer does not bring the hair down to its natural pH. That is not what it does. And it takes more than 24 to 48 hours for hair to go back to its natural pH. First stage of thiol neutralization. As the first phase of neutralization, residual waving solution trapped within the hair fibers after rinsing must be stabilized, historically called neutralization. The chemical process utilized is in fact oxidation. Water initiate pH of 6 to 7 initiates delicate oxidation to alter leftover lotion. This makes thoroughly rinsing out solution, then blotting excess moisture a vital preparation step before reforming the bonds. So the simplest way to put oxidation is about electron loss. So when a molecule, an atom, or an ion loses an electron to something else and becomes more positively charged, that is what's called oxidized, getting oxidized. It's when it loses an electron. So once it loses that electron, now it is oxidizing. Okay, I hope you get that. First stage of thiol neutralization. Stylists apply an oxidizing neutralizer. Though powerful for rebridging broken bonds into new curls, these chemical oxidizers can simultaneously lighten color. Under high pH conditions, especially unwanted lightening may occur. To prevent these, along with potential scalp irritation, perm solution should drain from strands for a full 5 minutes, followed by absorbent towel blotting. This removes excess lotion to maximize results from the precision neutralization process. So it is very important that we rinse the hair very well and blot it, towel blot it as well. Because one, if you don't rinse that solution off very well, what it's going to do is it's going to dilute the neutralizer, and then the neutralizer will not be able to work at optimum levels to neutralize that hair, to reform that hair, to keep that shape into that hair. Okay, so you want to make sure that you towel blot, you rinse well, that you wait until that water runs clear, and that the solution is out of the hair a full 5 minutes. And then you want to towel blot it to make sure that you get as much water as you can out so that you do not dilute the neutralizer, and the neutralizer can go in and harden and set those that hair to the new shape, the shape of the roller. First stage of thiol neutralization. Transforming straight hair into long-lasting waves and curls relies on stylists' chemical comprehension and patience. They must first clear residual active ingredients via thorough rinsing. It is important that you rinse this hair thoroughly. A thorough rinse before neutralizing a perm allows for even results and properly set curls, right? So, because you don't want to risk over processing or scalp irritations or unwanted color problems, right? So, it preps the hair for reshaping the bonds into long lasting curls. Okay, so you want to make sure that you rinse that hair properly and blot it. First stage of thiol neutralizations. Perms work by using reducing agents, chemicals that break sulfur bonds in hair keratin through a process called reduction. Hair is left with disrupted bonds after the reducing step, allows stylists to reshape it into curls and waves. The next solution historically got dubbed the neutralizer, even though it does not neutralize pH. The post-perm solution actually used oxidation to reform new disulfide bonds in the curled shape. Common oxidizing agents for this step are hydrogen peroxide or sodium bromate. So when we do these perms, we must have knowledge because we can cause a lot of problems when it comes to the integrity of the hair, meaning breakage or dryness or anything that's contrary to what the hair should be. Okay. Second stage of thiol neutralization. In neutralization, oxidizing agents facilitate the reverse reaction to restructure the sulfide bonds in the newly curled form. The oxidized molecules and neutralizers attract the hydrogen ions previously affixed to sulfur groups in the reduction phase. This facilitates the hydrogen atoms dislodging and reforming water molecules with available oxygen instead. So during a perm, the first step uses a chemical reducing agent that breaks open the disulfide bonds in the hair by adding hydrogen atoms onto the sulfur atoms, right? We learned that in the beginning. So this allows the hair to be restructured into the new curl or wave shape, right? So now the next neutralizing step does the opposite. An oxidizing chemical reaction puts things back together, right? And remake the disulfide bonds to set the new shape, to hold, so that they will hold and stay in that shape, in that new curl form. Okay? That is the second stage. Preliminary test curl. Preliminary test curl provides critical information on how that head of hair will process under perming chemicals. This is especially important for hair that is distressed or color treated. Testing a small sample can avoid dissatisfaction down the road if the desired curl won't set or damage occurs. So it is very important. If you have any doubts or you're not sure if there's something on this hair or if this hair will take, this perm, always do a preliminary test curl. All right, because this is going to tell you whether you can perform a perm on this hair, whether you need a milder perm or a stronger perm, or if the hair, especially if the hair is damaged or there's color, you definitely know you need to use the right perm for that texture or that colored hair or treated. You have to use a milder perm. This is going to tell you a gang of information that you're going to need to know so that you can follow through with this process. Permanent wave aftercare. Post permanent wave care, 24 to 48 hours waiting period before shampooing freshly permed hair. Deposit-only color can be applied sooner than 3 days after permanent wave. Shampoo with acid-balanced shampoo and moisturizing hair conditioner. Okay, so one thing you definitely want to know is that you do not shampoo the hair right after a permanent wave. You must wait at least 24 to 48 hours, right? Now, if the person has they say, oh God, my curls are just too tight, the curls are too much tighter than I wanted them, then you can have your client shampoo her hair immediately, because what that's going to do is it's going to loosen up those curls, okay? But other than that, you do not want to shampoo before 24 to 48 hours. You don't, because if they already have loose curls or whatever, you're going to cause those perms to be looser, okay? A lot looser. And remember, deposit only hair color can be applied sooner than 3 days after a permanent wave. And when they do start to shampoo, you want them to shampoo with an acid balanced shampoo and moisturizer hair conditioner. Permanent waves, special problems. Curl reduction is a chemical waving solution to relax curls. Shampoo hair within 24 to 48 hours to relax the curls. Do not attempt on over-processed hair. Air conditioning and heating units. Air conditioning slows the action of the waving solution. Heating units can speed up the processing time. Follow the safety precautions for permanent waving. Follow your precautions. All right. So the curl reduction is what we spoke about in the prior screen, is where the client hair is too curly and you want to loosen up those curls a bit. So you're going to have your client shampoo her hair within the 24 to 48 hour period, and that will relax her curls. Now, if you have if the hair is over processed, you don't want to try that, because then there will be no curls. Okay, so you definitely don't want to try that on over processed hair. Air conditioning, you do not want to sit your client in front of an air conditioner or a fan or anything like that, because it will slow down the action of the waving solution. And heating units, if you put your client under a dryer or anything like that, you're going to speed up that process, the processing time. So follow all safety precautions and make sure that you do consultations, you rinse your client's hair properly so that you will get the desired results that you want. Okay? And don't forget your consultation. All right, so that's going to be it for this video. Following the next screen is going to be some Q&A to help reinforce what you learned here today. So I am Ms. Bev. Please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video.